But what we do now is what we couldn't do back when there was only 3 channels and prior to cable news is, we all got the news from the same place. And if I told you the truth, you couldn't just hit block and I disappear.
Right. But there was a massive shift in that in Reagan. I've been here since Reagan. I mean, I've been here a long time. And the whole idea of the fairness doctrine, the idea of a news show has to show both sides. And the fairness doctrine, basically, Reagan said, no, screw this. News can say what they want. And so that Rupert Murdoch took that to the nth degree by talking about, Fox is fair and balanced. No, Fox is not fair and balanced. That's just taking, making fun of the whole idea. American news these days does not need to be fair and balanced. There is no objectivity necessary in American news. You can say what you want. We have now, is it OAN?
OAN, yeah.
Is the new Fox News, One American News, right?
Yeah.
It's propaganda. It's just propaganda.
Right.
And there is very little objectivity. And you're exactly right. It's become so polarized, partly through social media and bubbles, and people just are comfortable with things and don't want to go out of that bubble. So we talked earlier on about how do you get people to talk to each other and how do you get people out of those silos? Well, those silos are pretty embedded now. Those ideas are pretty embedded, right? People are going to struggle even more now to go out and say, look, I don't know who you are. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, right? Or go to a bar that is, maybe go to a black restaurant or an Asian restaurant that is full of people who don't look like you.
Right.
And go and investigate, go and find out. That isn't happening anymore. And I don't know if it will for a long time.
Yeah, it's very sad. I think what I've noticed is that, if you spend time around people, you warm up to them, even if you don't agree with them. And you also warm up to their points of view. A good example is like I was talking about people that I've, had the pleasure of talking to about different issues for a long time. And there are some people who are in landlocked states with no black people in them who just knew the police were great all the time. There's no such thing as police bias or racial bias in policing. That doesn't make any sense. And then you find yourself in conversations with multiple black people for enough time, and and they're posting and talking about it all the time because it affects them. Mm-hmm. Like you want to talk about it, but it strikes you a certain way because you realize, like, this is what I dealt with in order to get here. Now I have children. How will they fare? I fear for it. So how do we solve these problems? And you start to and then what I've realized is that those same people that said literally that quote that Trayvon Martin was no angel, and then years later, I see Black Lives Matter posts on their Facebook pages, and they're having arguments with the people they live around or in their communities. They're nowhere near me, but they're having these conversations because their mindset on some level had to have switched, because now they see that this is indeed a problem. Like this rationalization, you can only rationalize so much when you're constantly exposed to other opinions that are when the truth is constantly chipping away at stereotype and, talking points.